Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rajat Chen, a professor at the University of San Francisco Center for Business Studies and Innovation in Asia Pacific, and short for CBSI AP. Today, first, we want to thank the Facebook House for hosting this event. This is a very, very special venue for us to do this interview. And we also want to thank you, Raj, for coming to our interview program. And would you please briefly introduce yourself before we start the conversation?
Yeah, thanks, Roger, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'll give a quick introduction about myself. I'm originally born in Toronto, Canada. I grew up around the world in different countries, Abu Dhabi and UK. Parents originally came from India. And I went to Waterloo undergrad, did engineering and economics there. In my last year, Waterloo is where I came up with the idea for the company that eventually became Lyft, and started working with my co-founders there, Logan, John, and other folks. I also got into this program in the US. It's a PhD MBA program at MIT, very unique program. Only 4 people in the world were accepted into it. So I felt, it was a great opportunity. It was a full ride at MIT. I started my program there at MIT, but I realized it was nothing compared to the thrill of startup. So I dropped out, and began working, on my entrepreneurial career. And this was in 2008, the absolute bottom of the stock market, the biggest part of the recession in the fall. Everyone thought I was absolutely crazy, but I was ready to be hopeless. I was ready to do whatever I needed to do to make this, make startups work. And it turned out to be a great time to start a company. And so that's how it started. I started another company called Presto, which became the market leader for AI and automation in the restaurant space, working with big restaurant chains like Applebee's and Chili's, Denny's, Red Lobster, Del Taco, and Jack in the Box, those types of big
And you eventually went for a public,
I went public in 2022. And I left shortly thereafter, and since then I've started 2 new companies. One is called Lima, which is a mission-driven organization I've started with my wife to help skilled immigrants come to the U.S. So we help skilled immigrants with every part of their journey to get visas and green cards, because the immigration system in the U.S. is a nightmare, and I know this as an immigrant myself, and having a lot of immigrants working for me. And then I also started another company, which is back to my tech roots. It's called Tribe. It's the next generation group chat platform. It's what I think is going to be next after WhatsApp, after WeChat, after all these legacy platforms, which are over 10 years old at this point. And so we're trying to reinvent group chat and really focusing on building closer communities online on your phone. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I also have a podcast called Founders in Arms, and I do this with the CEO and founder of Mercury, Imad Akut. We talk to different founders every week. We've had some great people on. We had Aaron Levy last week from Box. We had Paul English from Kayak. A lot of great people coming on the podcast, and something I enjoy doing to contribute back to the community.
Thank you very much.
Key steps/principles for product market fit.
Most entrepreneurs kind of struggle with or kind of face the challenge, which we call how do you start from the idea to the product, eventually to reach the product market fit. Maybe you can tell us the story of either Presto or Lyft, through that kind of journey, how they find the product that fit the market, and even the business model, we call it product market fit.
Yeah.
Maybe could you kind of share some stories about that journey and maybe start a company failed to find that?
Yeah, I can tell you a few different stories. Yeah, I think finding product market fit, a lot of it seemed like dark magic, but it's actually very repeatable. It's very there is a very clear set of things you do to make a product market fit.
Tell us the secret playbook.
Yeah, there's a playbook, right? The playbook is this, right? Like, first of all, you have to understand the market very well. Like, what is the market size? Like, how many customers are there in this market, right? And how acute is this problem for them? If the problem is not on the top 3 problems, right, then it's going to be, you're going to have tricky building any solution that they adopt, right? Because they're just not. So this is especially for B2B, right? In B2B, don't even bother developing solutions for problems that are not top 3 for your target customer, right? And this could be like a different profile in a business. It could be you have the marketing person, or you have the operations person, which team are you selling into? If it's not top three of that person, they might meet with you and like give you lip service, but they won't actually buy your product. But if it is the top, so just that by itself, by the way, is something most entrepreneurs don't get right. They absolutely do not think very critically about their market size and the priority of the problem. And then all you have to do is like understand. Okay, now you have a problem that's their top problem. Okay, find a compelling solution that delivers a ton of ROI, a ton of value for that problem, and go the extra mile. Go to the extreme, like extreme that no company's gone before to deliver extra value. Right? Once you've done that, it becomes quite easy. I mean, you should be able to have a meeting with the customers and explain why you add value to them, and then they should be able to understand that. Like if you explain it very clearly, here's how much money you make by buying this product. If it's their top problem, they will buy it. Like it's very deterministic. So from a B2B perspective, and so for B2C, it's a little bit different. B2C, your consumers have a lot of problems, right? Like they're but at any given time, the problems can change, right? And sometimes they have, like for example, you might take, getting from point A to point B is not generally a consumer's top problem, but at certain times of the day it is, right?
Yeah.
Certain times of the day, right? So even with Tribe, it's like, okay, maybe connecting with other humans is not always their problem, but at certain times of the day it is, and certain times of their life it is, right? So what you want to do is develop, the best possible product for that time in their lives, and make sure that they know about it and they're aware of it, and make sure it's truly delightful. For consumers are a lot more product oriented and less ROI driven, right? They just want to use a delightful product that they can that gives them happiness or gives them learning, right? Happiness or learning are kind of the things that they're looking for, and you know, something that also gives them, we all have these basic needs as consumers, right? We have a need for connection. We have, need to get from point A to point B. We have a basic needs of health and stuff like that. And this is Maslow's pyramid of needs, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to understand. You have to be solving one of those needs, and do it at the right time and with the best product in the space. For consumers, there's always a formula as well. It's like, first of all, do you love your own product, right? Second of all, do your friends actually love your product? Third of all, like, do your close connections also like your product? People who are not your friends, but your connections. And then fourth of all, do strangers love your product?
So these are kind of the test of the product,
Yes.
the value too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and a test of love, a test of, and you have to be very honest. Are people just saying they like it, or are people actually using it? If people, everybody wants to be nice, so everyone will tell you nice things. But if they're not actually investing the time to use the product, they're that it doesn't mean anything. So, I actually, right now B2C is out of favor. It's so
Out of favor.
out of favor. I think 95% of Y Combinator companies are B2B these days. And I think as a first-time founder, that's totally fine because, B2B is much easier to make your first exit as a first-time founder. But I still think there's way more opportunities in B2C than people think. Right? There's like tons of opportunities. And consumers always looking for better things, and so but I don't know if they're all venture scale. I think there's going to be a lot of mid-scale businesses which are not venture scale. But if you're a founder and you build $100 million a year business, with a team of 10 people, that's a very good outcome for founders. And it's more founders should take that path versus like trying to go and convince VCs that this is going to be a $1 billion outcome.
So kind of organic, basically you're kind of referring to the organic
Yeah.
growth, as a strategy or path.
Yes. Right now, there's a lot of apps out there which are doing tens of millions in revenue. Just few 20-year-old kids, like building this great, building a nice app, maybe solve one very narrow problem well, and making a lot of money. And it's not a VC backable thing, but it's the founders are being very successful.
Okay, and also relating to this, maybe if you can share with us, for example, the Presto we talked about selling to the restaurant. Do you have any kind of story? What are some of the few early adopters, the restaurants that use your product? What was the experience? Why you're able to persuade them? Is it because of the name of products, or do you have other kind of wisdoms to share to basically persuade these restaurants to be your early adopter? That's my real question.
Yeah.
Because, what about the persuading or developing these early adopters, which is very, very difficult for many new business?
I actually don't think it's that hard to get people to use an early product. We live in the United States of America. It's a pretty risk tolerant society.
Mm.
There's a lot of very entrepreneurial people in the US. And it's why it's the best market to build companies. And you just need to find them, right? And so your job as a founder is to go talk to hundreds of people, and maybe 10% or 20% will be early adopters, and they will love what you say. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've been thinking about it myself." But we have to get used to 7% of the people saying, "Oh," or just not replying or not being that interested, right? That's okay. But you should know that 10-20%, when you have a real solution to an existing problem, people will adopt it. That's a great thing about our society. And once you find those people, you gotta, hug them close and reward them for being, part of your early community, because they will be the evangelist to the mainstream. So yeah, finding the early adopters is one of the most fun things to do as a founder. Is like getting to know those people, getting their feedback, identifying them when you find them, and rewarding them for their interest in terms of, they get to shape your roadmap. They get to see that you're taking their feedback seriously. Yeah.
And also, do you think there's any kind of a difference in identify, develop, or discover, let's say, the early adopters between a B2B and a B2C? Like, when you talk B2B, naturally you talk about, if it's an early adopter, these companies are willing to take a risk, they're willing to kind of work with you, even though it's going to fail, versus the B2C, and people are very sensitive to the new trendy stuff. Do you see any kind of a difference of working on it, finding these early adopters in the B2B and B2C space?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, for B2B, when you have a new product, if you can the B2B strategy is like deliver the early products at a very low cost, right?
Mm.
A very low price to the customer, and then increase the price for every new customer you get.
Mm.
Every new customer, you have an increase in price. And because every new customer is being de-risked by the previous customer.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so by the time you're like selling into like the 10th plus customer, you're making a lot of money, But the first few customers, they're being rewarded for their being early adopter by paying a much lower price. So actually, that formula works really well. Consumers are different. Consumers actually are more likely to buy a product if it's priced high as a new product, because consumers value novelty.
So the price is kind of higher for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when the iPhone came out, it was priced way higher than all the other Nokia and stuff like that, right? Even now, the iPhone is still priced higher, right? So, your pricing actually is very important for consumers. And for consumers, yes, there are some early adopters who will use new products, but you don't want to lower your price for them because it cheapens your product. It actually it sends a totally wrong signal. So I think if you have a new product by itself, that will be attractive to some companies. There's so many millions and millions of consumers out there. Everyone's looking for something new and cool to go off to their brand.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you for watching.